All right, welcome to this breakdown of the artwork for pressure. Now, before we start, I'm going to click record, and it's going to be one, two, two, one, and we are recording. This way, it's going to be synced, so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, first thing first. What is that? Yeah. VX logo. You see, I just underlined the VX logo. Now, this is important because anytime you see this symbol, you know that I gave everything I had for this particular piece that I'm sharing with you. I turned over every stone. I made sure that it's the best possible version of myself at that particular point to present to you. And another thing this represents is three key characteristics, and that is perseverance, that is excellence, and grace. So whenever you see this symbol, it means those three things: perseverance, excellence, and grace. If you want to know more about those three, have a look at my blog post. I should say my Instagram post. I could turn it into a blog post. I'll turn it into a blog post as well, about what the VX logo symbolizes for me, and I'll give you a little more detail behind what it means to me. Next, what you notice is this. Well, firstly, I would like to say that this is a representation of surrealism art. This concept of finding beauty in the sort of subjects that perhaps are thrown out or not the most glamorous thing to talk about or draw or create about. And pressure is a perfect example of this surrealism art in music that I am creating for you to represent, what my mind and my subconscious represents as pressure, the emotion, the the sonic landscape of what pressure sounds to me, how I experience pressure, and how, if you, I'm gonna try and keep it not too wild for you, but imagine you're wanting to express musically the sounds of what you're experiencing when you experience pressure. That's what I wanted to create. And going further with this topic of surrealism, you notice that you have these earthier elements here. So you see these trees, the vegetation. You see a tree here. You see perhaps a lake or a river in the background. You see the hillside here. And then you see some very common clouds, things that are considered common in our reality. If you step outside, you see some clouds, you see some vegetation. Perhaps if you have a good lookout, you see the hills, you see perhaps a lake. Depending where you are, you see the stars at night. So these are things that keep us grounded. They keep us in reality. And that's very important for what I wanted to represent here, is this notion of keeping things earthy, keeping things grounded in some sort of reality, but then blending that with the subconscious mind and presenting something that's beautiful in its ugliness towards a lot of people. And that's an important distinction. It's an important thing to remember. Ugliness in the beauty. Next, see, like I mentioned, the stars here, and perhaps a shooting star here. Now, just like I mentioned before, these are aspects that keep us in reality. You go out at night and you perhaps see some stars. But at the same time, they are concepts that are outer worldly. You see them, but we can never get close enough to them. They're part of our world, but almost not part of the world. Because it's so far away that we can't tell if they're actually real or not. And that's an interesting point to make. Are they real when they're so far away from us that we can't see them? Perhaps they're designed that particular way. And this concept of blurring the night and day, you can't tell if it's night or day. We have this representation of this pink sort of smog around. There's smoke everywhere. Things are a bit blurry. On one side, you see the formation of clouds here. On the other side, you see perhaps a storm being represented. But it's all garnished with this beautiful sort of neon pink. And that is to create this almost alternate reality, alternate world that our subconscious mind can create. So it's in reality, but it's a reality that we quite can't understand. Because you go outside, the sky isn't pink. Next, the beautiful main centerpiece, this smoke here, trickling down. This is a concept of implosion, explosion, I like to call it. Imagine, a gas pipe when it reaches a certain pressure and it explodes, right? But you imagine a star when it gets to a certain point, it implodes and then explodes. And the smoke here is a representation of that relationship. So we're imploding within our body from this pressure we experience, and then we experience a release from it. It's almost this explosion, or if we can't take it anymore, we physically perhaps want to hit something, or we verbally express our own frustrations within this experience that we're having. And again, it's this sort of implosion and explosion out. So you're trying to keep it in, and then you just can't take it anymore, and it just explodes out. And for me, smoke is a fantastic representation of that. It's movable in its texture. You could put your hand through it, but it can also represent something much more darker and sinister as well. You know, but when you think about it, something has caused the smoke. And that can, um, yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. I think that really makes it clear. Next is this gentleman wearing the suit. Now, it could be me, it could not be me. That's up to your interpretation. It could be you. That's the idea behind um, this, like I talked about, trying to find a more intense color here. Let's see. I tried the yellow, but again, it's giving me not really the yellow. If I change the marker, yeah. Nope. Apologies. Okay, let's get the ruler out. Okay, and measure the... I like that idea, actually. That's a good idea. See what happens when you just stumble around and try things out? Okay, anyway, outside this beautiful drawing, what I wanted to get to is that the protagonist being headless is an aspect of you creating your own meaning behind the artwork. A lot of things these days have to be explained. The meaning behind this, the meaning behind that, and that's fine. But it goes in too much detail, and then you're not left with your own interpretation. At least in my view, give a little bit, but then allow the audience to have their own interpretation, because it just sort of ruins the whole experience for me. The wearing of the more traditional outfit is a nod to the classical respect that we show when we listen to opera music, when we go and watch a performance of the ballet. And this is what I want, dance music to become, electronic music. I want it to have this respect that it deserves. Just like opera music has the respect of you dressing up well and showing respect, it isn't just about rocking up in your 4-day-old t-shirt and wearing some stupid glasses. It's about dressing well, presenting yourself well, and showing respect to the art that you have created. And as the performer, as the individual who is a person who is the entertainment for the crowd, you need to make sure that it's clear who the person that people are coming to see is. And if you dress like everyone else, then I feel it's disingenuous and lazy in some ways, because people pay their hard-earned money to come see you, so you could at least take time and effort to dress well. And that's why this figure, I like that. That was a good idea. Except that wasn't. I like how it's doing this, but I don't like how it's like cropping everything else up. That's the whole idea behind this basic practice taking center stage in the artwork. And it's a clear nod and respect to the way I want my music to be shared and represented. The last couple things I would like to say for this is this section right here. You see how it has just a big pink blob? And that is a clear nod to creating this distinction between reality and not reality, what I will refer to as your subconscious. And if you notice in the visualizer that the side here, the bits are starting to fade away, and you're becoming, in some ways, you're disappearing and becoming part of this sort of ether, this smoke. The smoke is starting to trickle down into the palm of your hands, and the rest of you is starting to, dematerialize, and the world that your base sort of reality is starting to fracture, and the alternate reality, this sort of pink world reality, is starting to creep in, and so you have this massive screech across that's almost like a black hole. It's almost like a gap in the universe. Like for example in Interstellar, how it's like this this enigma in the universe, and this, I believe enigma is the right word, I could be correct about that, but it's this sort of unidentified space, hole, if you will, in the known space that's not supposed to be there. And it adds back to this concept of having this pressure, but finding a way to confront it and experience it, and find a way to deal with the pressure that we have. And instead of trying to resist it or run away from it, you find a way to face on. And as you go through that process of experiencing pressure, pushing through pressure, your original self starts to disappear, and you morph, and you essentially become the version you've always wanted to become. And I think that I'll leave it at that, because it's a good place to complement the music video. It's a good starting point for the music video, because that starting point of this version of yourself that you want, this version that you've always wanted to become, is one of the key aspects in the music video. One final thing I would like to share with you from our beautiful drawing here is that the earthier elements here, they could nod to something more sinister. They could nod to a creature, a animal, if you will, that lives in the Amazonian forests, it's been around with us a long time, and I will leave it at that. So, Amazon forest and creature. I think creature is the right word. But anyway, that's a hint to things to come, and you might be able to figure out what I'm talking about, which which reptile I'm talking about, but we'll see. Is it a reptile? Pretty sure. Okay, there you go. I think that gives you a wonderful breakdown of the artwork and these sort of bits and pieces that I wanted to share with you. And I think it leaves you a good amount of space for your own interpretation as well. Once again, I would like to say that this is only my interpretation of the artwork. But a point of view that I want to share. Your point of view might be different. And that's not to say it's necessarily incorrect. It's just a different point of view. Okay, thank you so much for joining me on this beloved first episode. And I look forward to sharing with you more breakdowns of artwork and pieces of music very shortly. So thanks again for joining me, and I'll catch you all in the next one. All right. See ya.